Today it's time for a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is one of the qualification matches for the new season of the GSL in South Korea. And would you look at who decided to show up? Spawning right here in the upper left, playing in blue, joined by the polar bear on the main command center. We're looking inside of the main base of Clem. He's apparently decided to participate in the GSL, which is always very exciting. What? I pressed the button on the keyboard. What did I hit? Oh no, the polar bear is gone. I think I must have accidentally backed up by 10 seconds. Professional content creator confirmed. His opponent down in the bottom right. I wanted to see him make an additional drone. Otherwise, we would have missed this larva turning into a cocoon. We have one of the most entertaining Zerg players on the planet. We're looking at none other than Rogue's main hatch. So, a best of 3 between 2 of the very best players in the game. However, right, not knowing the outcome of this particular series, I will have to point out that Clem is an absolute Terran versus Zerg specialist. This man has been playing against Serral for many years now, and he's one of the very few players that actually has a solid win rate against the world champion of StarCraft 2. Serral is probably keen to face off against most everybody, but I think Clem is the one opponent in a bracket who he really wants to dodge. They've got quite a history. Obviously, the EWC from 2024 comes to mind, where Clem ended up taking down Serral 5-0 in the grand finals. I mean, I keep bringing that one up, but it's just because the result is so ludicrous. Clem has been practicing TVZ specifically for many, many years. And even though the Koreans, they do play this matchup a little differently, there is no denying that this will be an uphill battle for Rogue. Now, Rogue has been showing some really stellar games, especially his early game has been mixed up a little bit lately, where he's not really going for as many quick third hatcheries, but instead he's prioritizing really quick lairs. So a hatchery tech is where Zerg is quite predictable, but when you get up to a lair, suddenly there's like a dozen viable options. From Mutas to Nidus all-ins, Roach rushes, you name it. So Rogue is a tricky opponent to go up against, but I think if somehow, some way, Clem get into his groove, if he can just start playing the matchup as he knows it, I think Clem is nearly unbeatable. So, let's find out. It's going to be a quick command center on the low ground. Reactor already added into the mix. The winner, by the way, of this best of 3 is qualified, so this is played as a final series of the qualifiers of the GSL. Meaning that the winner of this series is going to be qualified for the next season. This is during the very first day of the qualifications, meaning that the loser of the series does still have an additional chance. But obviously, you would much rather just qualify at the first possible opportunity. But what I'm trying to get at is that there is an opportunity for both of these guys to ultimately make it through. The only problem is that if you end up losing, you gotta play more games. And then you end up playing against more top dog Koreans. And yeah, that is never really something that is a guarantee. So, how many drones are we leaving in gas? We're leaving 2 in gas. The norm for many years is to pull all the drones out or to pull 2 drones out. Lately, the Korean Zergs have been leaving 2 drones in, which gives you a lot of additional gas to now go into a really quick lair. There it is, 320 or so on this lair. It's kind of funny because, in a way, right? So Terrans are really adamant early on. Ooh, okay, a Roach Warren gets planted down. Terrans are really focused on denying the Zerg third hatch. But Terrans also don't really want to play against 2-base Zerg. So it's one of those moments where you're like, I'm gonna harass the drone. I want to kill the worker that turns into a hatchery. But simultaneously, you also really do not want to deal with a Zerg player on 2 bases, because as soon as Zerg gets up to a lair, they just have so many different choices available to them, and suddenly you have to be prepared for a dozen different builds. Whereas if they decide to go for a third hatch, at least Zerg is a little bit more predictable and a little bit more one-dimensional. So, what are we dealing with? Well, Terran's not going to know, but we now see all of the gases being added on into the mix. Wolof over here for Rogue. He's going to try and sneak out a hatchery towards the right side of the map, and I think he's going to be able to grab it. Clem's still looking around, and this is going to be really the first moment that he will realize that this is a proper 2-base build. What do you now deal with? Like, what do you expect from the Zerg? Do you blindly prepare against everything that the Zerg can throw at you? The irony is that now the third command center here of Clem, this is by the way not a very fast third CC, but it's still quicker than the third base of the Zerg. This is nice though. This Banshee getting 3 of those creep tumors is big. With an opener like this, Zergs will not get nearly as many queens. So normally we will have like 7, 8 queens available. Right now we have only 4, so creep tumors are... Okay, nice little bit of harassment here. They are, relatively speaking, more valuable too. Now the Hellions decide to drive by as well, and this is a bit of a disaster, man. When you're playing 2 bases, you're really not supposed to take any damage at all as the Zerg. Any kill right now on a drone is nice. Man, this is nicely done by Clem. The worker losses aren't even really the end of it. It's a lot of lost mining time too. And obviously Rogue already has less income because of the amount of mule mining that the Terran player has. So 9 drones ended up going down here so far. It will be added on very quickly. And now, of course, the third command center is done too. So we're gonna go into the triple mule production, if we so please. Oh, he misclicked it for just a moment. Lucky here for Clem, he did immediately send it to mining. The Banshee's still around as well, man. Only a couple HP remaining, but... Oh, another kill? Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, and suddenly, momentum is heavily in favor of the Frenchman. The Frenchman here is just going into good old double upgrades. Going for a bio-based mid-game, so he's trying to just play Marine tank with some medevacs for support. He doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against, but he's seen the roaches move out across the map. Caught a bunch of them as well in the middle. And this is now a game that really feels like it's on rails here for Clem. The advantage is not super significant yet, but it's there, right? Like, this is like the beginning of the avalanche that is Clem. Clem is a very momentum-heavy player, so if he's given this small lead, he will happily carry it through the rest of the game. Honestly, I feel like this game is going to be decided by, like, the first main attack here of Rogue, who's not even really going for a main attack. Wait a second, I thought he was going to go for a roach move-out. Instead... we have a 6.5 minute hive. I mean, the third base is finally done, but I believe that this hive started up before the third hatchery was finished. That is really, really early. What in the world is Rogue even gonna do with it? We've got Infestors coming up, +1 melee, so I guess he wants to go Ultras? Is this like the fastest possible Ultra rush in the game? I mean, it could work out. It all really comes down to when that Zerg army really moves out, I think. But if we're gonna go Ultras, it's still minutes away. Clem is just gonna be able to do whatever he likes. And also, and that's also a bit concerning, I think, for Rogue. Rogue is gonna be super vulnerable. I mean, he's got a few Infestors. The Banshees are so good. 10 kills, by the way, on this one. Oh, it ends up going down. But it certainly gave its life for the Terran Dominion. 15 workers killed while simultaneously having a faster third base is really kind of crazy. Upgrades are really solid here for Clem. Armory coming up as well, so he can go straight into 2-2. 4th command center added on right around the time that an Ultra Cavern is coming. Now, never count Rogue out. I say this every time, but Rogue is a very... as he is going to lose this hatch, no cancel. Rogue is a very flexible player. He's very good at making adjustments on the fly, but this just kind of feels like he is climbing a mountain. Okay, that fungal is nice, but the thing is, now Zerg has shown their hand, right? Like, that was effectively what Rogue was planning. Yeah, I think the knowledge here is probably worth losing a couple Marines for. Unless you're one of those Marines. That fungal was nice, but I think about, like, well, 12 Marines have died in total. I think, like, 10 or so of them died due to the fungal. I don't know if they're gonna really be that big of a game changer. You know what? Clem is going for a move out. Dude, that's crazy. So, he is playing a bigger eco than the opponent. And he's like, yo, I've seen enough. I'm gonna go for an attack right now. And this is, even though he hasn't seen the timing of the Ultra Cavern, the perfect moment to do so. Because chitinous plating is not yet done. Zergling run by in the meantime attempted. Look at this push here from Clem. He is going to force Rogue to probably do a push. Like, he needs to defend this, right? I mean, the Zerglings will be cleaned up. Not a lot of SCV losses, I don't think. Yeah, a bunch of them. Clem decides to not really take any chances. Just killing the hatchery is enough. I don't want to undersell the Zerglings, though. They are actually putting in quite a bit of work. The reason, by the way, why I don't have the cool observer overlays and all of the little things showing up on the right side of the screen, for example, with the worker losses, is because these games were actually not broadcasted. As a matter of fact, I don't know if anybody has casted these games. I may very well be the first one. These are, yeah, like I said, the qualification matches for the GSL. The replays need to be saved. I guess it's mostly for the archive, but luckily for, well, at least for me and probably for some of you as well, they do distribute the replays. So we can go ahead and have a look at what the players were up to. But yeah, since they're probably self-hosting the lobbies, they don't bother adding all of the observer tools and all the rest of it. All right, here we go. Ultra's going in. And this is scary, man, because we haven't yet arrived at, like, Liberator. We haven't read... oh, look at the observers here, too. Or the changelings, rather, here, too. We haven't yet arrived at, like, a lot of ghost... Like, none of that is available just yet. Ultra in the main base, though, is going to get denied immediately. And while we are going to have a lot of splash damage available for the Zerg in the upper right, it does look a little bit messy. Ultra's going in for the counter, denying the planetary fortress. Still, though, this is an eye for an eye. And Clem has more eyes. So, yeah, trading out a command center that doesn't even die for a hatchery that is actually critical for Rogue's economy is obviously phenomenal for Clem. And this game is an absolute disaster for Rogue. He's created some opportunities for himself, but really, the cold hard truth, Clem just demolished everything. Clem just moved in and destroyed it all. Look at the supply count right now. This man's been ahead economically, he's been ahead in upgrades, he's been ahead in army, basically since moment one. Beautiful game here by Clem, seriously. Like, very few things that really could have gone better for him. The fungal growths really need to be so good. I mean, these are nice. You know what? If there ever was a moment for Ultras to be good, this would be the time. But even with the fungals as good as they were, Clem still just shuts it down with ease. That game right there, that's the Terran dream. Everything went according to plan. You got the Reaper and the Hellions going in. The Banshees managed to, yeah, blindside the Zerg, distract all of the Queens. Then he also ended up getting the first 3 proper creep tumors with that Banshee as well. The macro after that was nearly flawless. The micro was really solid, although, I mean, you can make the argument that taking that many fungals to the face is suboptimal, but when you have such a big eco lead, you can just, yeah, you can just cruise to the victory. That game was as good as it ever really is going to be, other than maybe the fungals. But the thing is, you can never really know everything, right? You don't have vision as perfect as we have it when we have a look at these games. For Clem, the map is dark and full of Zerg, so you gotta make some calculated choices. Like, yeah, you could scan ahead of the army move out, but the scan is actually more worthy. Like, it's more... The scan is more costly than losing the Marines would be. It's kind of sad if you're one of those Marines. But the scan is the same amount of energy as a mule, and mules mine a very substantial amount of resources. So most of the time, especially early on, it's just not really worth it. Hatch pool, this time around here for Rogue. We are going to be taking a gas eventually. It's a little bit funky, actually. Normally we go hatch into a gas into a spawning pool, so we'll have to keep an eye out on what Rogue is cooking up. We are, by the way, here on Tourmaline. So this is a map with a very quick natural to natural rush distance. I've always liked Tourmaline, actually. This map is neat. Weirdly enough, I like this map a lot better personally when I spawn at the bottom than when I spawn at the top. Even though it's completely mirrored and identical on either side, this map just feels more comfortable to me when you spawn at the bottom of it. That's probably just a mental thing. I have noticed that actually over the years with some StarCraft players. Like, some StarCraft players really are a little superstitious in that department. Where they're like, no, it's always better to spawn at the bottom of the map than it is at the top of the map. I mostly disagree, but I do think playing from the bottom on this map is more comfortable to me. Anyways, here we go again. Clem the Bully. Sneaking the Reaper around. Yet again, by the way, no third hatch. What we do have is a couple Zerglings trying their absolute best. A little bit of gas mining. Clem did poke in to see how many workers were mining the gas. He saw only a single one. I guess there are technical advantages to accidentally clicking the minimap, for example. I think this is something that every StarCraft player has run into at some point. When you're microing so hard that you accidentally click the minimap. Especially when you're trying to stutter step with Terran. Sometimes accidentally clicking the minimap on a move command means that you micro your army into the main links. Yeah, it's something that is solved by just being better at clicking. Actually an underappreciated skill, I think. Just clicking better is actually a very significant improvement in every game you play. Lair yet again, though, real quick here for Rogue. Even though he faked out the gas there for a moment, Clem did go back in to check. He saw the lack of a third hatch, and even though he only noticed a single worker in gas there previously, apparently Rogue caught on by adding 2 workers back into it. And now he's still trying to blindside the opponent with a fast third, or with a fast Lair rather, but Clem, a little bit too smart, checks for it yet again. Oh, Clem. I didn't realize I signed up for a bit of bullying, okay? Am I a bad person for, like, highlighting this series here? Because this just looks to me like Clem is... Like, Rogue is a monster Zerg, but... he's just not able to really, yeah, get his feet under him in these games. Okay. He's been bullied into taking the forward third. It's going to be roach speed together with +1 carapace here for the Zerg. Now, these upgrades do line up reasonably well. So, Rogue could lean into an attack from it, but it's such a predictable push. Like, roaches with a +1 upgrade is like the first attack that Terrans ever learned to deal with. So, you know, Clem has dealt with that literally thousands of times. Possibly tens of thousands of times. Just with the sheer amount of games that he's played over the years. It's hardly going to be surprising, the man from France. Did he just get a couple creep tumors as well here? Yeah, he did end up getting a couple creep tumors here with these Hellions. Yeah, they have 3 and 2 kills respectively. So 3 of these kills must have been creep tumors. Alright. Third command center flies on over. Third command center is landed over at the third base before the Zerg's third is done. Rogue Dome has something specific in mind, it seems, as he does fire up a very quick 5th gas geyser. A little bit odd. The second Evo chamber is also lined up to finish with the +1, it seems. Are we gonna go for like a +1/+2 attack? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. It feels weird in my mouth to say those words out loud because it's not usually something we see. But I guess that is the only reason to be going for that second Evo. If we go +1 melee right now, though, it would indicate that he wants to go into ultras yet again eventually, but it would slow the game down so much, and Clem's economy is just gonna be ridiculous. What else is the second Evo for? Ooh, well, you know what? Maybe it's to confuse me, but also to confuse Clem. Because all the gas that Rogue had is now being spent onto Ravagers. Is this just going to go into, like, the most classical push that you can have? Clem sees the additional Roaches hatch right now, but wait a second, this is Tourmaline. The rush distance from natural to natural that I mentioned earlier is short. Bunker comes up right now, but Rogue is going to try and just go for baby's first Zerg all-in. +1 attack roach speed, baby. Let's see. Is it enough? Oh, well, it's a lot of SCVs that will have to pay the price here next. The siege tanks already did get biled down. Don't walk into your own biles. 17 workers just fell. Rogue is, for all intents and purposes, all in with this, by the way. Like, he's only on 49 workers. 49 drones versus 42 SCVs is still an eco advantage for Terran. So this is not good enough here for the Zerg player. Terran will be able to stabilize very comfortably with mules here. A lot of the supply depots down at the front lines, though. That's going to massively supply block Clem if he loses every single one of them. And now that he lowered them, maybe it's inviting the Zerg in. So the second Evo chamber was just fake. Like, we went for a fake evolution chamber. Clem saw it and may have made some decisions based on it, but that seems to be hyper precise. We're doing a little bit of droning on the back of this. Rogue not entirely convinced. He's going to be able to break the siege tank. The Marines and Marauders here, together with the Medivacs, push so far forward just to be shielding against the siege tank. This tank is going to be sieging up here too. And as the numbers of tanks grow, or as it grows, it is going to be more and more difficult for Rogue to actually keep this going. Rogue hits a little bit of a supply block. Triple Overlord starts up. He also now finally goes for Metabolic Boost, by the way, 8 minutes into the game. That is Zergling speed. Yeah, he decides to fall back. Okay. Now, that was a nice attack for the Zerg player. But how much do we really love it? Because now he's kind of stuck on roach-based tech, right? Like, he doesn't have a hive coming. He's kind of just going to play more of the same, I suppose. Clem is going to be able to get those yellow mining machines back into action real quick. And while he may have been behind economically earlier, you can tell here in the upper left-hand corner, the income that he's getting per minute right now is still substantial. Roaches will also max out real quick, so you're going to have almost like an inflated amount of supply. Because once you are at 200, it's not going to get any bigger than that, right? Like, that's just the maximum amount of supply you can have. And from that position, Clem will still continue growing. Furthermore, Clem also does have the double upgrades going, so he's got 2-2 here, about halfway done. I like this spot here for Rogue, but I wouldn't call this like a game-winning position. What were you guys up to? These were ready to snipe, I think, a hatch? Yeah, probably what we wanted to go. Okay, sure. Yeah, no, let's get creative. A little bit of a Marauder minigame. This is why we have 500 available actions per minute. That's what we need. Okay. Yeah, I agree here with Clem. I think slowing the game down, while it's not really what he prefers, most of the time he enjoys being in the opponent's face, I think this is good. 4th command center. 3 additional barracks. The only thing really that's missing here is the 2nd factory. I wonder when we're going to be adding that one into the mix. Wouldn't mind seeing some more siege tank production here, but this is Rogue ready for another wave. He's just about to hit 200 supply, and he's sending it once more. Is there enough for Rogue to clean up the rest of the Terran? But you know what? A lot of the Terran army is currently inside of Medevacs on the other side of the map. We do have a Medevac drop here up north. There's another quadruple drop right now. Almost like a Doom drop straight into the main base here of the Zerg player. Rogue already sending some of his army back home, as now the entire Terran army is unloaded into the main base. Clem certainly could have defended this attack if he had all of those units at home. This is going to be a lot of damage dealt to the Zerg player, but he's losing his main base in the process. A couple of the roaches now also working away here at the mineral line on the low ground. Roach Warren itself may actually get sniped. I think this drop here in the main base was a mistake for Clem. He was hoping that he had a little bit more time and that maybe Rogue was making a transition to go into Hive Tech instead. He did have a lot of units now popping out of his barracks yet again. Slowly, he will be working through all of the roaches and ravagers in the main. But this is a literal bloodbath right now. 55. It's not even the end of it yet. So many of those SCVs have died. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think this is still better here for Rogue. Clem may be a little bit over-eager. Sometimes I feel like having a ton of actions per minute available to you can almost be like a little bit of a curse. Because players get a little bit... Like, you're Clem right now, and you're like, okay, I've got these medevacs, and I've got all this APM available to me. Let's just go for a drop. But I think he actually would have been in a better position if he was just at home, defending against all of this. Okay, he decides to tap out, since he sees the amount of eco available to the Zerg, and that means we are going to game number 3. Okay. Okay. Am I gonna cast any of the grubby tournament games? I'm not, no. They did reach out to me asking if I was interested, but honestly, I've been completely out of the loop. I mentioned that next time I'll do it. If they decide to do more in the future, I will join, but I've been, other than like streaming and like baby, I haven't been doing very much, you know? Like my days have been very full. I've not been following the Warcraft tournament at all. Okay, and that now means that this series will come down to White Rabbit. Map number 3. It is best of 3. I still like the position for Clem just across the board better. Like, yeah, we saw Rogue win just now. And yeah, he played really well. but it did require a couple of things there to go right for him. Clem did get a little bit unlucky. Now, that is, of course, part of the game. You're always forced to make decisions with limited amounts of information. But that really was about a 50-50 chance, I think, of Clem just sitting at home, or Clem just about to do a big doom drop into the main base of the Zerg. It ended up working out right there for Rogue, but relying on a coin flip. Even if the coin is slightly weighted, is probably not quite ideal. Having accurate clicks, by the way, is super important. One of the most common things I've noticed over the years is that a lot of players play with too high of a mouse DPI. I've done quite a few coaching sessions in SC2 over the years, although admittedly not so much over like the last year, but especially like right before I was able to start doing this whole YouTube and content creation thing full time. I did do quite a bit of SC2 coaching as well, where basically it's like a one-on-one help with people that want to try and get better at SC2. And one of the most common things that I noticed is that people would like overshot with their mouse. Like you would try to go from like one mineral field to the one at the bottom. Like just doing little clicking exercises is a big deal. And it's very common for players to just like either like overshoot it constantly, so they can't quite bounce in between. Or for players to have like something like mouse acceleration turned on in the Windows settings. Please go into the settings and turn mouse acceleration off if you have never checked, because that is like the absolute... It's the absolute worst thing if you want to try and be precise with your clicks. But especially mouse DPI, aka like how much movement you need to do in real life for your mouse cursor to move across the screen, right? It's very common for, I think, most gamers to actually have that scaled up to the max. In a lot of games, it can be beneficial. Like in the more twitchy games, like say like Overwatch or something, it might be beneficial to have like a, at least compared to like a Counter-Strike, it might be more beneficial to have like a higher mouse DPI. But really, I think lower DPI is most of the time better. Most of the StarCraft pros, in case you're wondering, because I've asked many of them. Actually, interestingly enough, half the StarCraft pros have absolutely zero clue on their settings at all. They just like unplug their mouse at home, and when they go to a tournament, they plug it back in and they cross their fingers and hope it works. But the other half are very anal about their settings too. Most of them play between like 450 to like 800 DPI or so. Some people at like 1200, but 800 or so DPI seems to be a good middle point. I'm not sure specifically about Clem and Rogue, but yeah, a lot of players do obviously want to try out different bits of hardware. Clem actually famously... So Clem is somebody who will switch up his hardware all the time, at least he used to. He famously won the World Cup in 2024 with a wired mouse. So after trying a million different setups, he decided to go back to a wired mouse that he grew up with, basically. And I guess comfort is still king. Even though technically maybe it's suboptimal and maybe it's not quite the most precise way, yada yada. But ultimately comfort is king, and he did end up winning. If you look at the 2024 pictures, Clem did end up playing with a wired mouse, and clearly it worked out for him. All right, anyways, we've got ourselves a lair coming up right now here for the Zerg. Double gas yet again. So once more, a Rogue opting to go for a very quick tech up here, rather than a focus on economy. Roach Warren hiding this time around behind the Naturals mineral line. Evo Chamber as well, right in the same position. So rather than putting them right in front, we're still doing the same build, but we're hiding the structures somewhat. Okay. In the meantime here for the Terran, we have a bunch of barracks, and we've got ourselves a third command center as well. So nothing all too crazy. It almost feels a little sad to see this, man. It seems like Rogue has decided that we're just not really going to do anything too crazy anymore, but we're just gonna commit to the good old comfortable +1 Roach speed push. We're adding a little bit of a twist with it this time, though. We are gonna go into the Pneumatized Carapace upgrade, too, so I think that's probably going to be for a Queen drop. So I think that this is gonna be a Roach all-in with Queens as well to boot. It's really the only thing that makes sense. But yeah, we're already sending it. He's already making non-stop army now. He did go for an Evo Chamber. And then he never did anything with it. Similar to the Evo Chamber previously, I guess. Clem actually never saw it this time around, but I think Clem has been looking at the amount of production going on inside of the third base. And if he didn't check it already, he wants to see what's popping out of these cocoons. Yeah, I think he already knows more than enough, man. There's a Drop Alert coming up. Brenda, Karen, and Margaret are getting ready. The entire Terran army is going home. A single bunker. Do you not just go, oh, really? We're even going to try and send out the third CC? I think Clem 100% knows that he's playing against something aggressive. He's seen the lack of workers over at the third. He's still just being aggressive, though, with this. All right, Overlord move out. He's trying to see if he can catch some of the roaches and bruise them before they get across, but I think he may have missed the main Overlord. This is the one, man, the private jet for the ladies. Second bunker now also added into the mix. Oh, I love this. Yes, siege tanks are absolutely critical to the defense here. So contamination, we never see this, man. It's one of the most underused abilities in SC2. He made an extra overseer so he could contaminate the factory. Let's see. Mass repair will now, I guess, be the next stage in this push. This is a bit slow, though, for Rogue. I feel like he could have committed a little while ago already. He wanted to wait for the rest of the army to come through. Queen's unable to really fully transfuse one another because the creep was not quite far enough. This siege tank in the back is having a grand old time, and with the bunker staying alive, ultimately, it is going to be the Frenchman qualifying himself for the GSL Code S. So that's pretty great. It used to be such a rarity to see any non-Korean. We even used to call non-Koreans foreigners in SC2, if you've been watching this game for a long time. But anyways, it used to be so uncommon to have non-Koreans qualify for the GSL. But to see Clem do so in such a dominant fashion against the world-class Zerg, I'm excited to see his games in the main season. GG.